Elden Ring has many cool spell types, from gravity sorceries to black flame incantations. There are also some lesser known magma incantations, which don't get a lot of play, in the normal game at least. In the so-called convergence mod, there are more spells than Sims for Rani. Totally not me, by the way. And with that, of course, there are many new types of spells as well. So today, we are going to try and beat Elden Ring with only magma incantations. That means only spells gained through magma runes. You will see what those are in the video. And besides that, no other means of dealing damage is allowed. So, with the rules established, I quickly want to ask you to subscribe to the channel. Only about 1.3% of people who watch my videos are subscribed. That's almost 99% who aren't. Doing me this favor only takes 2 seconds for you, but helps me out a lot more than you know. Likes and comments are very much appreciated as well. So thank you to all of you who helped me to reach the 3k sub goal, and let's jump into the video. So, the Convergence mod also changes a lot besides adding new spells. The progression is very different from the normal game of Elden Ring, which starts off at the character creation. For every new kind of spell, there's a class to start the game with. The magma related class is the Volcanist, which starts off with an armor set that increases intelligence and faith by 1 each, and 3 spells. These are the Lava Dart, the Magma Shot, and the Molten Stride. Also, you get the physic right from the start. Anyways, upon leaving the starting area here, all classes have a designated starting point. The Volcanist starts in Western Caelid. Another very important thing every class gets are 2 nodes, which give you locations of spells and items related to your class. For us, of course, only the spells are interesting at the moment. The first runes to acquire spells is right in front of our spawn point in the Caelem ruins. So we quickly navigate over to this cellar in the ruins and face the Pumpkinhead boss there. He made a nice dummy to put our spells to the test. The Magma Shot really did some hefty damage and left a puddle of lava that would linger for a second. And that seemed to be the whole theme of the magma incantations, leaving these puddles of lava basically. Molten Stride is pretty much what you would expect from this spell. Upon activation you leave a trail of lava on the ground, which stays there for quite some time. The damage isn't huge, but for frying a pumpkin it's enough. And after doing so, we collect the Shimmering Rune of Magma, which upon use rewards 3 more magma spells. Those are Burning Rancor, Lava Spray, and Familial Consumption. You'll see what they do soon enough. For now, we did some exploring, and in the basement, with all the dogs, we found our first enchanted remnant. Remnants are a pretty cool mechanic added by the mod. There are multiple types of these, and they all craft something. In the case of the enchanted remnant, it crafts a selection of talismans. We used it to craft the Cerulean Seed Talisman, which gives 1 FP regen per second. This is additive to the normal FP regen the Convergent mod adds. So with this tiny bit of prep, the next we would go and try is to defeat Margit. Before reaching him though, I did a little whoopsie and blew up. But these soldiers simply don't blow as good as I do. So I blew them up with the newly acquired Magma Spray. And this spell was really great for multiple enemies. It had a pretty good AoE as well as a great range. And of course, it left the lava puddles. The only downside is the really slow casting animation. However, before attempting Margit, I wanted to upgrade my staff as much as possible. So to the round table hold we go and upgrade our magma throwing stick to +5. Now on to the first attempt at Margit. Molten Stride comes first. Some free damage after all. Then we test Lava Spray and it's pretty disappointing. It takes so long to cast and does deal that little damage? Damn. Well, that meant this boss needed some more prep before we could face it properly. So we check the notes again and see that 2 more runes are located at Volcano Manor. There are multiple ways to get there. I'm a very lazy man, so of course I do the warp with the abductor below the big water wheel in Raya Lucaria. To get to the Volcano Manor that way, you have to go and face a duo boss consisting of 2 abductor versions, but somehow here there was only one and it was pretty weak at that. It staggered super easily and went down very fast. This made me feel that this way was kind of intended to go. Well, finally in Volcano Manor, I realized I didn't even know where the rune was sitting here. So I went to check out the NPC fight of the questline of Tanith. The next realization set in when I saw the name of the NPC we had to fight. Old Knight Istvan. The NPC we had to face to receive the rune though was Juno Hoslow. I couldn't remember which of the 3 NPCs Juno was, but I was sure it would be the last one, who is located in the mountaintops of the Giants. So a very late game area, and we can't even beat Margit yet. So I went to get the rune that is located in Volcano Manor. But I fear this one might be locked behind the Godskin Noble, which turned out to be true. So of course I tried to defeat Fatty. And as I expected, the damage was just too low, and the fight ended pretty quickly. More and more, it felt like we ran into a straight dead end. Anyways, the next idea was to go and fight Renala, since she's pretty easy and I had a really good plan for the first phase. So we made our way to the Red Wolf. Wait, who is that? Bowls Carrion Knight? Balls. Well, the Knight of Balls was really a weakling. Against my superior technique of blowing enemies up, he stood no chance. Burning Rancor came into play at least. It casts pretty quickly and the FP cost is fine too. Only the damage isn't that great, and if you don't charge it, the projectiles miss their target a lot. But when you do charge it, it's pretty great. Well, anyways, for defeating Mr. Testicles here, we got a new kind of remnant, the Faint Relic Remnant. This allows us to craft another set of talismans. Each increase a damage type by 5%. We chose the Firemonk's Filigree, which of course increases fire damage. After that, it was time to get my master plan going. But before doing so, I let Moondrum yank himself down the elevator because he sucks and he can't come to my 1-year Ignis YouTube channel anniversary. Anyways, master plan. To act it out, we need 2 of my spells, Molten Stride and Familial Consumption. The latter regenerates HP as well as FP upon killing an enemy, and there are many of those in Renala's Phase 1 arena. With Molten Stride, I only had to pass by them and they would simply die and give me my resources back. Sadly, Molten Stride wouldn't break the singing of them weird children, so I had to use another spell to hit them. Lava Dart would have been great, but in this attempt I didn't have it equipped, so I used Magma Shot. The FP cost didn't matter, since I got it back so fast anyways. With this strategy, Phase 1 of the fight was an absolute cakewalk. It worked out just like I intended it to. Phase 2 was another story though. Her spamming of spells greatly outweighed mine, and even with some good dodges, my damage just wasn't enough to hold my grounds. I tried and I failed to her one-shotting moves. Clearly, this boss wasn't an option yet. Thus, I figured the next step should be to upgrade my stuff some more. And the best way to get the necessary materials is to visit a tunnel. The Liurnia Crystal Tunnel rewards the Smithing Stone Bell-Bearing 1. You get it right after defeating the Crystallion down there, but in this mod, it is right before the boss arena. Anyways, I didn't even need to buy anything from the Bell-Bearing, as I found more than enough smithing stones in the tunnel. So I upgraded my staff to +7 and set off at another attempt at Margit. Magma Shot performed noticeably better and the openings for me to use my spell became way more apparent. so now it was just a battle of endurance, which was no problem in the end. Margaret the Fell Omen, more like Margaret the Loser, am I right? Okay, anyways, Stormwick Castle was the next area to conquer, and in a previous video I said I didn't know why people always go through the front gate, but since doing it once, I too always go this way. Why? It's just much faster, especially when you can obliterate anything in your path with your burning hot spells. Yeah, anyways, I quickly reached Godric and was full of hope to defeat him first try. I wasn't even close. I was way too weak to beat him now, or just way too bad. Either way, I had to gear and level up some more. So time to actually use the physic for once. In my previous playthroughs, I never really used it too much, so I forget a lot. The cool thing is that here it doesn't matter which archery avatar you kill. The tiers for the physic are also tied to remnants, and the avatars drop them. So I just go to Kael'th's first minor archery to phase 1, as it's very weak to fire damage. This shows as the walking tree gets turned into firewood very quickly. I'm not very proud of that joke, but I am proud of you if you liked the video. You really made something of yourself if you are subscribed to the Ignis YouTube channel. You should put that in your next resume. However, from the remnants I received, I crafted 2 tiers. One that increases both intelligence and faith, and the other that increases all fire damage. With these 2 in my physic, I decided to once again face Renala, as of course I still had my master plan for phase 1. So I kept the flask for phase 2. As expected, we reached that very quickly and without any trouble. With the physic, phase 2 became way more bearable, as it was just a race at this point. A race against myself. It was just a question when I was hit by a spell. Most meant certain death. Hence why my heart stopped for a second when I got hit by one of Renala's strongest attacks, her laser beam. Somehow it only dealt a little damage and I managed to power through. It was a fast fight and Renala dropped 2 interesting things. First, a shimmering relic remnant. That means 1 more talisman that increases our fire damage, but for 7.5% instead of 5, like the previous one did. And you can also use both of them at the same time. The other item is the first keystone. By now I know what that is, but then I didn't really. Let's just say it will be very important later. The next step was to try and defeat Godric again, and I almost did it, but then I got sniped by one of his storm projectiles right before defeating him. So I got a bit salty and went to try Fatty again. Filled with salt, I beat the shit out of Mr. Foreskin and thus quickly found the next rune, which meant new spells. Most of them really weren't interesting, except for one, which is the lava pool, and it made NPC fights very laughable. It creates a huge lag, and also a giant puddle of lava around you in an explosion. Humanoid enemies can barely dodge this, and the damage isn't half bad. So with that I quickly disposed of Old Knight Istvan and Renala the Idol. The latter was a piece of work. He spammed rod arrows and I didn't appreciate that. Nonetheless, Renala the Idol quickly turned into Renala the Loser. Am I right? Up top guys, up top. Anyways, from him it's not far to the royal capital, so why not check it out? The problem of course is the draconic tree sentinel directly in front of the entrance, and I normally hate this boss. So I was really not thrilled to face him again. Lucky for me, the gate wasn't blocked, so the tree sentinel was no concern to me, and I just ran past. Nonetheless, I turned back and tried to kill it anyways. Yeah, shouldn't have done that. Now upon entering the capital, I noticed a path that wasn't there normally. A big route leading directly to the road lift. So I went there and checked it out. Surprisingly, you didn't have to get the medallion to enter the mountaintops, which meant I could face the last NPC of Teneth's questline. So it once again was time for the pool of lava, and even though Juno almost one-shot me with one attack, I managed to defeat him first try. That again meant a couple of new spells. The only interesting spell of them was Rykard's Rancor. Against big enemies this spell was great, as it dealt multiple instances of damage. The other three spells were just pretty disappointing. Very little damage for their cost, or very hard to even land. So none of them would find any use. Moving further through the capital led us to the gold-free boss fight. But once there, it wasn't him, but another boss. Saigur, Knight's captain. He was equipped with a great hammer that dealt bleed damage and had basically a gladiator's moveset with some pretty cool extra moves. The first phase of the fight was pretty manageable, but the second one showed me I was not ready for this area yet. He would use the Dung Eater's explosion move and launch all these homing projectiles at you. While the boss himself harasses you, it's pretty hard to dodge all of his attacks, so I left him for now. Next up I wanted to head to the snowfields, as I didn't need the medallion for the mountaintops, so I figured I wouldn't need any of them. This turned out to be right, and I entered the snowfields without any problems. I went there to face the magma worm Theodorix. I knew I wouldn't be able to actually beat him in a proper fight, so I tried to cheese him. This didn't work out though, as the spot where I was standing wasn't great, so I abandoned this idea too, for now. Next I went on a long journey to find a better catalyst. See, for every class there's a straight up better version of the starting staff. I was sure it had to be around Volcano Manor for the Volcanist, because, you know, just made sense. In the notes there was not a mention of any catalyst, but I knew there was one. So eventually I ended up in the Galmir's Hero's Grave. I've never really tackled that dungeon before, so I died a lot. I think the dungeon is very hard with these machines and the lava. Very annoying. It was no fun, but at least the Red Wolf in the end was an absolute joke and rewarded the Lava Stone staff. Aside from looking really cool, it also is way better than our current equipment. There's also a better set of armor for every class in this mod, but I couldn't find it. Anyways, our new staff was upgraded using somber smithing stones. And I didn't use any of the ones I found so far, so we were able to upgrade the Lava Stone staff to +7 instantly. With that our damage just got a huge boost. Siger, whatever, Knight's captain was way more doable now. His homing projectiles were still quite the problem, but as soon as he would cast them, I would hide behind the pillars in the room. This meant I was safe and could end the fight pretty quickly. Then it was time for another detour to the mountaintops and get the Somber Stone Bell Bearing 3 to upgrade my staff to +9. With that, Morot was next on my list. And he is a pretty formidable opponent. Well, that showed a lot, as he stumped me really quickly on my first attempt. So I decided to try and beat Theodorix again. I found a way better spot this time and managed to eventually bring the magma worm down. This rewarded the highest level spells of the magma class. These were the real deal, especially the magma missile. It casts even faster than the lava dart, creates a huge explosion and deals massive damage. The spell Vortex of Iglay was also pretty good. It summons a giant storm above you that spawns many homing skulls. The other spells were not too useful. Embrace of the Devourer sounds good, as it gives 1% HP, FP, stamina and damage upon defeating any enemy. And the best part is, it never expires. Except when you die or when you travel to another side of grace, which made keeping it up extremely annoying, especially when it comes to bosses where there are not any enemies nearby. It was just very annoying to keep up and I wouldn't use it much. Well, anyways, next we go back to Morot and just see for yourself. Yeah, more like Morgot the loser. Am I right? I feel like the longer you watch this video, the less you like me. Anyways, these new spells are insanely strong. Morgot also dropped the fourth of 5 keystones, which meant we still needed the second and the third one, aside from the fifth. So I wanted to kill Radar next, as he seemed to be the perfect boss to hold keystone number 2. So we ravaged through Castle Soul and ended up facing a new boss added by this mod, Dag Starcaller Lord. It's a nice fight, but I was way too strong by now. The fight was almost shorter than me telling you about it. And Radahn? Well, they should have called him Radar Gone. Get it? Like the end boss of Elden Ring? Because Radahn was gone so quickly? Yeah. I wish I had friends. Well, hey, Radahn dropped the second keystone, just as I expected. And as all of the previous bosses were so easy, I thought it'd be a good idea to face the fire giant right away. And well, the damage we dealt was great, but so was the big gingers. No, that doesn't quite describe it. Every single attack he threw would one-shot me, and most are easy enough to dodge, except for his fast fireball attacks. These are so hard to dodge when you're not on horseback, so I died quite a lot to them. I came close to defeating him many times, but in the end, one of the gingerbread man's attacks would always hit me. After some while, I managed to get an attempt where he didn't use his fireballs, and thus I defeated him. Not a very spectacular fight, but now we could finally move on. Or not. The chain to reach the big crucible was missing, and there was a gate. A gate I couldn't go through. It said seek Moog, Melania, 46 or plus 36. They had to drop keystone 3 for sure. I decided to visit 46 as I didn't go to the areas below yet, so I wanted to. Before reaching my destination, 4 more bosses had to be defeated, and it went like this. Fast and efficient. After that, 46 waited for me. I always wondered why they named it Dragon after a number. Maybe because he has 46 different lightning attacks and he is 46 times more annoying than other bosses? Well, he was a goner pretty quickly anyways. Oh, you can also make 46 of his name. That's what I did to your mom. Whoa, don't unsubscribe, okay? It was just a joke. Anyways, the gate told me to seek Malekith next. Weird because you usually get to him by burning the Erd Tree, but we can't reach the Crucible. The only other way I know of is in Liurnia, so I head there and enter this portal. Turns out my suspicion was right. There was a new path that led down to a boss fight against a dragon. And look at his name. It's an anagram for butt stuff. I'm onto something here with these dragons. Well, I didn't even have to do that fight. To get to the Godskin duo, I had to walk past it. Well, anyways, upon reaching my least favorite boss in the game, I was overcome with joy when there was not two, not even one Godskin, but an entire different boss. Thank you to whoever made this mod. The new boss was this line here. Pretty agile and its damage was not to be slept on. But again, that really didn't matter. With these high level spells and by now a plus 10 staff, a couple of attacks were enough to defeat him. So next up was Malekith, a boss that was infamously problematic for me. Well, you get the gist by now. He stood absolutely no chance. Just a couple of dodges, a few spells, and it was done. So with the 5th keystone, we head back to the gate and enter. Burn down the Erdtree and are sent to the Ashen capital. Only 3 more bosses between us and finishing this run. Next we say hi to Gideon. Hi Gideon. Oh, damn. Okay, not Gideon, but I'm sure we'll be Oh, okay. He can one-shot me. That's what I get for not leveling Vigor too much, I suppose. But, I mean, what is dead can't harm you, right? Well, this boss harmed me a lot, and for quite some time. But I eventually got used to his moveset and defeated him after 7 attempts. Not my proudest moment, but worse would come soon. Not in the form of Godfrey though. Not that this fight is easy, but I fought him so much recently, I just knew every move of his. Dodges here, dodges there. Made me feel pretty epic, honestly. They should call him Godfrey, because I write him, you know? Yeah, that's funny. I'm so smart. Please, I promise, I'm more likable in real life. After that, we were almost at the finish line. Only one boss left. How hard could it possibly be? Well, turns out spells suck against Radagon. The damage was mediocre at best, and he would two-shot me with most of his abilities. But the worst thing is that due to my spells, I wasn't able to see all of Radagon's wind-ups. So I would get hit pretty often, but I also couldn't replace the spells as none of the others did the damage I needed. I tried again and again, and I just couldn't make it. Clearly I needed to up my game even more. So I got the best damage boosting spell in the game, Howl of Shabriri. It increases all types of damage you deal by 25%, but also constantly applies the Madness status effect. This turned out to be a huge problem as you get stunned when it procs, and thus it would lead to me getting hit quite often. I decided to test a talisman that grants immunity to madness, but this didn't help as the damage buff just wouldn't affect you without the madness buildup, or at least while using this talisman. Next I used another armor, which had much more focus, which basically works as a resistance against madness. This helped a lot. I still could get the madness proc, but I could time it better and put distance between me and the boss, before the proc eventually happened. Most times I wouldn't die or even get hit. Still, I would die fairly often, and it took many tries. After not managing to win the entire day, I left it for now and went to sleep so I could tackle this challenge again the next day. I did, and I actually managed to defeat Radagon and the Elden Beast after a couple of tries. I just forgot to record it, so the run ends in a very unspectacular fashion. So yeah, anyways, thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate it, and sorry to end this run in such a lame way. But be assured, this will not be the last special spell run on this channel. So if you want to see that, subscribe and also turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Also in the meanwhile, you can check some of my other videos, I'm sure you'll like them. So again, thank you for watching until the end. This video has easily been the most time consuming one I've ever did. So yeah, thank you a lot if you actually watched till the end. I appreciate every single one of you who did. So yeah, anyways, see you next time and have a great day.